So the idea was help these boys and girls to not have to choose between their passion and their work, but let their passion actually pay them.
Uh, one goal that is paramount is we want an abundance of quality Indian fighters on the international circuit.
Welcome to the 15th episode of Indian MMA Origin Stories. In this episode, we'll be talking to Himanshu Goyal and Vishal Seigell, who are the co-founders of Bob and Weave. They will be explaining what Bob and Weave is all about, the fighters in the team, the future plans they have in place, and much more. You can check out the time code in the description below for easy viewing. Thanks a lot for coming into this small interview series that we are doing from LockerRoom India. So this is the first time that we are having the two guests in an episode, so a small milestone there. So I'll get straight into it. So what is Bob and Weave for the people that don't know about the whole concept?
Bob and Weave is, Ranjit, an enterprise we put together, which comprises almost everything to do with combat sports management, really. Be it promotions, be it managing fighters, hosting events, even retail for that matter. We'll be bringing in a lot of premium products, premium pro gear made accessible at Indian prices, or rather at much more affordable prices. So in a gamut, yeah, I mean, that's what Bob and Weave is. And we three of us, we have Vishal Seigell here, who's our head coach. He's the chief of strategy. He's been around. He's a very reputed personality on its own. He's got a fantastic roster. I would say he's a champion maker. And yeah, so I guess that's one of my privileges to work with him as well. And then we have our other partner, who's the CEO of the company, Priya. She's not, unfortunately, with us right now because of some health-related issues. But the subsequent interviews or meetings that we have, she'll definitely be joining us. And yeah, that's Bob and Weave for you.
You told about Coach Vishal and Pooja as well. So could you just tell us something about yourself so that the people could know a bit more about you?
I primarily come from the entertainment background. Yeah, I've been part of live events. I organize, I produce events, primarily focusing on music festivals, more live concerts, managing artists, and just putting up a great big show. Yeah. So it's been about over 2 decades I've been doing this. I've been a part of some really large organizations, like Times of India has 360 Degrees, which was the event cell. I was with Persephone Mark, which is undisputedly the largest entertainment company in the country. So I was taking care of the South Zone for them, primarily 3 states. And at one point, we all feel that we've reached a saturation level, right? So it's been too many years. I wanted to diversify this a little bit more, focus more on the music space. And so I decided I will shut my agency, which was The Rabbit Hole, and go completely the live music way. And I wanted to bring in some really good artists on board, create some collaborative events, put a lot of stuff together, which took a year. And then the pandemic hits, So the pandemic technically completely destroyed the event space for a while. I mean, people do shows, people do events, but not at the magnitude we are used to doing. So that gave me some time to think. There were a couple of other businesses I wanted to diversify into. And combat sports was something that always had my attention. And while I was kind of, you could say, training myself, I was quite fascinated with how it works. And I realized that the industry is so good, really, but it's not experienced in terms of show business, And it got me thinking that I'm good at one thing. I mean, I'd like to say I'm good at it, which is putting up a good show. And I felt that there are people who have great intentions in combat, with be it MMA, be it boxing. There's so many different combat sports India has to offer on its own, right? So the ocean's so huge. I'm like, why not just, do my bit and help enhance that a little bit more. So my idea was just to basically do my bit to take this industry onto the mainstream level. While the wave has begun, I wanted to be a part of the first few to take it through its larger journey. And I was fortunate enough to speak with Priya, who comes from a great communication background. She's a lifestyle personal coach. She trains international people with language and proficiency of other kinds. So Priya was pretty much on board. She's great with communications, marketing, and stuff. And while doing so, I started training during pandemic because there was really nothing to do because my business was completely down. And I called one of the sports stores to buy some boxing gloves. And he says, hey, we completely sold out. I'm like, dude, it's a lockdown. So we said, that's the thing. Almost every fitness equipment's gone. And there's nothing related to boxing or MMA that we have in stock. So then through an acquaintance of mine, I connected with Vishal, said, buddy, just help me with some gloves and some wraps. And I really want to do this. I have too much time to kill and I really don't know how to diversify. How to divert my energy. That's when Vishal came to my rescue. And I think in a matter of weeks, we became really good buddies. Right in the middle of lockdown, we were kind of breaking the rules and catching up with each other on and off and things like that. So one day I bounced this idea off to Vishal that this is what we've been thinking about, trying to build something. And he was completely on board. He was completely just as excited as we were. And he and I, our wavelengths are so in sync. It was so easy to put this thing together. In about a couple of months, we already had a structure in order. So yeah, all three of us huddled up. We started going the old school way, picked up our pens and papers, started drawing stuff down. Vishal's already been training some fantastic boys and girls. We spoke to them. Would they like to be a part of an enterprise? And they were all on board. And the idea, what the best part about this, Ranjit, was that Priya, Vishal, and I, all three of us, are in sync about a couple of things, which is helping the ones who need a little push or a little bit of a hand holding. Yeah, and we've got some amazing gems in this country. The challenge is that they either can't afford to pursue their passion of training the right way, or even sponsoring themselves, funding themselves to go and compete in events. There's so many guys who travel from Bihar to Bangalore in a general class sitting on the floor, and they come here and within a day's time they're entering the ring. You know how tough their bodies might be by then. They'll be so sore, there's no recovery period, and they go with that. Those are the kind of challenges we want to kind of help them off with. So the idea was help these boys and girls to not have to choose between their passion and their work, but let their passion actually pay them. And that's where it all began, So we decided, okay, let's take these people in. Let's give them all the basics that they require so that they can focus on their game and also let that game actually earn them enough revenue to sustain themselves. And eventually, with the help of Priya's communication skills, building etiquette, like what she's trying to do is she's trying to groom these guys with etiquette, confidence of speech, correction of the languages. And by the personality enhancement, that becomes the first stepping stone towards building them as a brand individually, and then get some endorsements on board. So you see what I'm talking about, right? So we get a lot of brands coming on board, sponsoring individuals. They have great bodies, they are great fighters. Eventually fund them into going and competing, take care of all of their basic needs, and also host our own events. Yeah, hosting our own events is another ball game altogether, which is also one of the reasons why we thought of putting this together. There are a lot of players, who are so challenged with funds. There are clubs, there are promoters who go to a brand gives them a fistful of money. And with that little money, they try to put an event together. And what happens with that insufficient money is not only do you get to not manage to afford great content, but even your production and documentation kind of takes a hit. And that is how the international market starts looking at the Indian market. That, okay, these guys aren't equipped, they're not ready yet. They're still at a grassroots level. So we need to change that. So we do have some great fight clubs as well. We have some great promoters as well But now is when they are actually getting the opportunity because the sports are getting identified. And that's what Vishal's bit was, that if we are doing this, we got to do it right. We got to do it all the way. We might have lesser content, but we have to make it clearly at international standards. And that's how it came into existence, and three of us got together, and there's Bob and Weave in front of you.
Coach, could you just tell us how big is the roster of Bob and you currently, and like how do you manage the fighters?
We almost have fighters in each weight class, right? So mostly we are trying to recruit more fighters, but we just don't want anybody. We want people we are able to develop, and that's a super challenge, right? So at this point in time, we're just looking for quality as opposed to quantity, and slowly build up on that. I have tremendous help from Himanshu himself and Priya. So initially it was a one-man show, but now I have a team of compatible people and a lot of collective years of experience, right, in our specific fields. So, like I said, we have a good amount of fighters. We complete almost each weight classes, but we don't want to stop there. We want to go much above and beyond than what we have at this point in time. The thing is, like Himanshu just said, it's to find a diamond that's in the rough and then to cultivate and develop. That's what we really want to do. So that's why we're not jumping onto anybody and everybody, right? So we are waiting on, or we are trying to find some good prospects, and then that's where we go. At this point in time, you have seen the guys who participated in Gamma India Nationals. You've seen our team that participated in MMA India Nationals and so on and so forth. So we already have a good group of people, right? And we just want to build further on that. In fact, it's just not, obviously I've always felt very strongly about it, but so has Himanshu and, Priya, for whatever reasons we have personally. But we want to also venture towards and develop, kids, upcoming kids, and it's just not for fighting, but just upcoming kids, to develop them and focus towards women empowerment in the true self, right? So that is something that really touches home, and we are working towards. I cannot speak on that matter at this point in time in detail, but that is something we are working on, and once we have it, you're the first to know. And I have a great team, that I'm working with, and I've always been passionate about it, being raised by a single mother, and I've done that work before, but it's just that with the right team now, I'm so completely equipped, so much better equipped than I was before, so I can fulfill that. And that is certainly something we want to look into, and we are working towards, not looking to, but we are certainly working towards, and just can't wait for things to materialize.
So how did you guys come up with the name? I know it's a boxing term. So how did you decide that this will be the name of your enterprise?
About the name is what your next question was, yes? So you know what Bob and Weave is, as the move, but while it is one of the most important basic moves that, you need to know in the game, the idea was, it has another funny side. When we started putting this together, it was right smack in the middle of the COVID times. There was these lockdowns happening, there are these partial relaxations happening, events aren't allowed, the parameters kept changing. You suddenly can have crowd of 50 people, 100 people, then you can't have crowd again, only broadcasting. To survive for a while, because we don't know how long this is going to go on, I guess, you have to keep dodging every little curveball that kept coming your way, and which is what we thought, we're bobbing and weaving our way out of this, really. So I guess that's how we'll always remember Bob and Weave, later in the day.
Absolutely, everybody's going to know and remember and respect Bob and Weave. I'm not being cocky. I'm just saying it because of the intention we come in with.
Yeah.
That's why.
So you mentioned a lot of things, like you mentioned about events, retail, and everything. Like, what's the plan for the operational model that you have for Bowen going forward?
Okay, so this, I'll have to, it's a little bit of an elaborate response to this. But I'm going to try to crisply break it down for you. So there are three portions. As we said, there are three businesses. Now, let's talk about the fighters, which is our roster management. Technically, Vishal, I think you should be sharing more inputs about how, we take care of the fighters here. So I'll leave this question to Vishal about how the management goes, and there's a lot of stuff that we enable them with, and Vishal particularly spearheads with managing, taking care of them for that matter. So over to you, Vishal.
Absolutely. So Ranjeet, the thing is, if a fighter was able to do all the push-ups in the world and all the squats and all the punches, it still doesn't make them successful. You got to have a personality. You got to be, you got to have many other elements to yourself other than your physical abilities, right? In that sense, when we were basically, or I was basically trying to create a structure where we are able to take care of everything, be it etiquette, be it personality, be it speech, be it whatever. And to develop, it takes time to be, because every fighter is different, right? So it takes a lot of time, and we are able to, once that happens, then we are able to, put them out there, and then, things start working out for themselves. So there is a lot of things that go into it, and there's a lot of time that goes into it, right? So it was imperative to start off on that foot, because certain habits are very hard to break, regardless of what age group you come from, right? And to instill that in a fighter, it gets very challenging. So to develop a complete fighter, like for instance, we worked with Roshan, and before he got selected, we only had about 25 to 28 days to start, putting things into his head. Obviously, he had been working with me much longer. We were just not expecting that thing to come up, the selection process in his case, and we had to speed things up. So it has to be very detailed. We have to be patient. The athlete has to be patient. And at this point in time, I have so much of help that I can, go back into what I do best and hand over certain tasks to, my teammates, which are Himanshu and Priya, and what they specialize in. So a lot goes into it, be it their prehab, rehab, their etiquettes, their fighting skills, and so on and so forth. So everything has been going on now. It's so much better and easier because there are other specialized people that I have that, to handle those situations. So, but right back at you, Himanshu.
Yeah. So just summing that up exactly how Vishal put it. So what we do is we make sure they have all kind of assists, before they go in for a match. We make sure they have a prehab session. There's rehab after match, mental health maintenance. They're all young boys and girls here. They've got stresses, juvenile stresses, or maybe real stresses, which they don't know is really just the beginning of life. But lack of understanding of parents, bad relationships, indulgences, debaucheries, there are a lot of things that can wear their game down and their focus kind of goes kaput. So keep it all intact. We make sure we are literally like white on rice, keeping them comfortable, happy, and maintain their A game in order always. So, it's finally about time that people started understanding the importance of mental health as well. Getting their focuses intact, maintaining the focuses is a big challenge when they're that young, right? They get distracted like that. snap of a finger, they completely forget that they've got a game coming, and they may be just checking out a passerby, or there's a video game for all we care. You know what I mean? Petty little things can just so they need to be nudged back in. Yeah, so that's one. Besides that, when they lose games, that definitely plays on their minds. So we need to we need to snap them out of it. So we have people to assist them with that as well. There are so many things which a physio, chiropractor, or even a general physician can help them with before their game while they're setting camp and things. A lot of times these guys they hurt themselves even during camps, right? And how do you control that? Because you can't keep restricting them from using their full force as well while training, because now they're going in for the real deal. It's not just a practice round. So we make sure that all of those are in order. We personally oversee their nutritions. Each of them have different goals. Sometimes they're cutting, sometimes they're gaining to make weight. Vishal is like a monster on top of their head, so they need a good cop as well. So I'm that guy who's waving at them slyly from behind him, and that's what he does. That's what Vishal does completely. He's got them. He's like a second parent to them. So that's the part where it comes to the fighter management. What we're trying to do besides that, this is maintaining the fighters, right? The second bit is grooming them with etiquette, communication, as Vishal mentioned, which is what Priya looks into primarily. She pays attention to their public speaking confidence, their cleanliness in the speech, how they maintain their social media presence, how are they behaving outside of their homes or outside of the gym is important as well. Today, a guy could have the greatest game, but not have the right channels or the right tongue. He cannot go and tap the golden doors. So there's so much more that goes in with that personality that's required as well. Offline, I'd spoken to you about this, Ranjit. I'll bring it up. There's so many fighters who, just because they don't have a great agency, end up staying stuck in that local area of theirs and just excelling there. There's nothing more. They don't have any avenues to get out of that. And there's so many things that go into it, right? So the idea is that we enable them with such opportunities. We secure them with the minimum needs. We make sure their focuses are intact, their health is at its peak, and their game is at its peak as well. So this helps us also market them as individuals to draw sponsorship, brand endorsements, which makes each of these fighters, like fighter A, once he's gotten all of this and we market him, he actually now becomes a brand. He's not just a fighter. He's not just a roster member of Bob and Weave, but he's a brand on his own, who now in turn Bob and Weave manages in a different manner, right? So that is one business. This is what we talk about, the fighter management business. The second is the event. As I said earlier, when smaller players or the less savvier players, when they're trying to put an event together, they don't know how to put a show together. They know how to have a great fight. They know how to display a great fight in the ring. But how's your ring looking? How well lit is it? What are the kind of officials that are involved? How are you videoing and photographing them? What is your post-event video looking like? How has the fighter benefited after being a part of your event? Those things are the ones that decide how far this event is going to go. So we want to do such events too. We want to do some great fight nights, but not at any cost. We want to make sure that it's okay if we do smaller events. I mean, it's okay if we do lesser events in a year, but each of those events are going to be magnanimous. We're going to go the whole 9 yards with it. We've canceled 2 dates already because of the second wave. Now we are hoping, fingers crossed, that we somehow manage to swing one before the third wave, which we know is inevitable, kicking in. But let's see. If that happens, I guess we won't need to speak then. You can just see it for yourself, right? Coming down to the third vertical, which is the retail. Now, we aren't immediately working on retail completely, but we've already done our groundwork. We have started establishing a lot of trade routes that have to be put in order. It's a little bit of a complex job today to import fast fashion apparels and sports equipments into the country. But when in a matter of few more months, we should be having all our clearances. We intend to bring all the pro gear that all the fighters aspire to own, but they end up not managing to afford them or paying through their noses, to import them from other countries, which is so unfair. I'm saying if there's a pair of pro Venom gloves that somebody wants, which is costing him 65,000 rupees to import from US, but out of that 65,000, half of it is the shipping charges. And then you have whatever the import duty charges that they all put together. A guy coming out of a tier 2 city is going to save for months to buy that one. And that's so unfair, right? So we want to make it affordable for him. So once we start retailing these, they're going to save these costs at least by 50%. And but in all of these verticals put together, if you see, whatever we are doing is to enhance the scene. We have no competition. We don't want to be a part of any bureaucracy. We want things plain, simple, shake hands, hug everybody, join hands and just grow the scene. And that's all what Bob and Weave's objective is. And we're everybody's friends. And with all our verticals put together.
That's right. So
if I may add something, I don't mean to cut you off. Going back to the initial part of this question and statement, you remember that we are working especially with athletes coming from a certain socioeconomic status, right, and deserving on top of that, right? So it makes it very challenging, obviously, but it makes it so much more interesting as well. Because success stories is something that is just wonderful in every sense of the word, and not only me. I think a lot of teams and coaches have done that, but it is something that will be very close to me all the time, and us as a team. Be it a male athlete coming from a weak socioeconomic background, be it women empowerment, be it kids, be it whatever. So we want to do the right thing, and set the right tone in those terms. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Fantastic point, absolutely.
awesome. So you guys mentioned about the roadmap that you have laid out for the future. So what's the immediate plan for Bob and me now? Like I know that a lot of fighters are currently in training for the Gamma Asian Championship. So what's the immediate roadmap for the team?
We've already set camp. Vishal's already training all of them. And so we've got 3 fighters going in. So, the thing is, I think Gamma was supposed to happen this month, the end of
July.
this month.
In July, yes.
And it's been moved to the end of August. But that didn't stop us. Since we've already set camp, the guys are going to continue training until then. So guess it's just an opportunity. They've got more time to prep. But besides these 3, the rest of the roster is already peaking at their game. They've used the lockdown and this break to their advantage. They've ripped their bodies out. They've been doing some crazy functional training. Vishal sits with them virtually every single day. We're on top of every little thing of theirs. There have been a couple of them who did have the simple flu, and nowadays even if you sneeze is almost like giving you a stroke. So yeah, I mean, so everyone's ready really. Everyone's at the peak at the moment. They're ready. If you want to give them a fight next week, I think the entire roster can jump into the ring, and they're dying for a fight. We just keep getting these texts. Vishal keeps sharing, "Coach, I want to fight. Coach, get me out of here. I want to fight." So we're ready, man, and we are definitely going to put our own event together very soon. We're already working on it. We just need some more clarity because, like I said, we can't do it at a mediocre scale. It has to be, it has to be a little of a larger magnitude, really. So once we have the clarity, of course, that is one bit. But right now, we're completely geared up for this. And we're hopefully within this calendar year, we should start having our own training centers as well. Yeah. And Yeah, but that's what our immediate plan is for that matter. We're scouting a lot of fighters. We're scouting pro, we're scouting semi-pros, also a few amateurs. We're looking for a lot of kids. We've got 3 pre-teens right now and who are doing great. We're looking at this as their side career as well. But yeah, I think primarily Vishal is busy with training them all and scouting for more. But yeah, very soon we'll be sharing some more news with you. We would like to refrain from disclosing that at the moment. But yeah, we just wanted to put Bob and Weave out there. Yes, we've been around for a few months now. And yeah, we're ready to roll now completely. We're all in now.
Is there something that you want to put out there before we close this interview?
You know, if we are talking about viewers who already are aware of the sport, you know, just don't let the situation wear you down, man. I mean, things are going to turn back up, you know, and there are people like us, there are like 100 FCs who are trying all they can to give you opportunities to get you back into the ring, get you back into the cage, get you back into the gym, and things are going to turn around. So just throw your positivity out in the universe. It will matter, yeah. And the ones who aren't so much aware of combat sports, well, we're coming to you to get your attention. We'll show you what you're missing out on. Yeah, that's Himanshu for you.
Awesome. So, Coach, what would you like to tell to the viewers?
Above and beyond what we have as a team have already stated, one goal that is paramount is we want an abundance of quality Indian fighters on the international circuit. And to develop a quality international Indian fighter who can compete there takes a lot of tasks, takes the right infrastructure, and so on and so forth. You know that, right? So that is something we are working towards, and I'm sure a lot of people are. But we just that is something that is on the on the top of the list. And like I said, it's obviously a challenge, and it is for everybody. But things are just going to start getting structured properly. So as a team, for Bob and Lee, right now I'm speaking, so we are able to take steps towards that. Given the population that we have as a country, we should be on top of everything in terms of results. And off late, if you see Olympic selections, be it boxing, be it shot put, athletics, whatever it may be, wrestling, Indian athletes are starting to rise and shine, and we can do that maybe 100-fold. Not maybe, we can, and we will. We just have to start giving priorities at the right in the right way to the right people, so we can develop. We cannot wait for something to show up and then start training for it, or then start supporting those athletes. For example, right now, we have Khelo India, we have this and we have that, and they are obviously promoting sports, and I love that, and I thank them for that. But let's take MMA, for example, right? When MMA, why do we want to wait for MMA to come into the Olympics if and when it does? Why can't we start supporting those athletes now? We already have so many athletes who have, let me take for example, the background Kantaraj has come from, the background Roshan has come from, right? Kantaraj used to YouTube and teach himself. And look at the level he's competing at, right? Sure, he's gone through some teams and so on and so forth, but imagine if we, just like we do in boxing, we do in wrestling, we do in badminton, we do in cricket, whatever, we give these fighters that kind of support, it's going to be phenomenal. And remember one thing, every sport is tough, but try coming in cross-training in MMA. I'm not disrespecting any sport, I'm just saying try it. It's a totally different ball game, right? So what I'm saying is, if and when it happens, we'll be a whole respected bunch at a totally different level.
So see, the idea is that you have some great brands and global brands like UFC and One Championship, right? As we look at them as maybe a certain kind of a goal to grow up to because of the size. But for Indian fighters, that almost seems like, shooting for the stars. And with people like Roshan Kantaraj and Vitu, some Indian fighters have actually made it there, right? And they made it seem pretty all right. And the more opportunities that we get to create by improving their proficiencies, we'll have more number of Indian fighters there in the scene and make reaching these brands not seem like such a far-fetched goal, really. You know, you kind of are bridging the gap between the earth and the moon for them. And that's what exactly Vishal was trying to convey. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. Give them the confidence and the tools and the backing and the support. Then I could
Access.
go all day. I think both of us can go all day on that.
Right.
Awesome. So really excited to see the plans that Bob and you currently has in place, and looking forward to seeing you guys in full swing once the whole lockdown is over. So once again, thanks a lot for taking time out tonight for this particular episode. Looking forward to seeing you guys in action. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your time, Ranjit. You're doing a fantastic job as Locker Room. I think that's the blog we look forward to in the Indian scene really right now. So
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks
Thanks for having us. Sincerely appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Please stay safe. Yeah. Bye.